The work of our honoree will not be in vain. Who's ready for the tour? Okay, guys, come on, let's go. Who wants to press the first button? Okay, Natalia, press the first button.
I was born in St. Louis, Missouri on April 4th, 1928. I was an American poet, singer, memoirist, and civil rights activist. I published 7 autobiographies, 3 books of essays, and several books of poetry, and was credited for a number of plays, movies, and television shows spanning over 50 years. A famous poem of mine is, "And Still I Rise." Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of times, just like hope springing high, and still I rise. Who am I? I am Maya Angelou.
Right.
I was a civil rights singer who refused to give up my seat to a white passenger on a segregated bus that led to the Montgomery bus boycott. My bravery led to nationwide efforts to end racial segregation. I was awarded the Martin Luther King Jr. Award, the Presidential Award, and the Congressional Award Medal. I was born Rosa Louise McCarley on February 4th, 1913, in Tuskegee, Alabama. In 1932, I met and married the love of my life, Raymond Parks. He was an activist member of the NAACP. That bus ride changed things. For me, of course, and other African Americans. I'll never forget that day and always stand for what's right. Who am I? I am Rosa Parks.
Okay, guys, go ahead, press the next button.
They say I talk about a drive, but I can back it up. But I was born March 6, 1964. Louisville, Kentucky. I taught myself to don't be a quitter, but I hit it every minute of training. But float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. That's me, Muhammad Ali.
June 17th, 1989 in Saginaw, Michigan. I am a professional tennis player. I first reached #1 ranking on February 25th, 2002. I'm the first Black African American woman to do so in the open era, and second all time since Althea Gibson. I have broken 811 records in my career. Who am I? I am Venus Williams. Ha!
Born September 6, 1918, I am an American professional tennis player. I've won 23 Grand Slam titles, and I've won 14 major double titles alongside my sister Venus. I've also won 4 Olympic medals, one women's single and 3 women's doubles alongside my sister Venus. Who am I? I am Serena Williams. And we are the Williams sisters. Ha! Guys, you ready to press the button?
I was born on August 7th, August 24th, 1978. I was #1 draft pick straight out of high school. I led my team to 5 NBA titles, and I got 5 rings. Who could be like me? They call me a black monkey. But sadly, my life was going by a tragedy that happened. inside of a helicopter. But the last words that I had told to my parents was, Mamba, who am I? I am Kobe Bryant.
2007 and going too soon. 2020. I was just 13 years old, so I wasn't a boy. As a girl, I walked in my dad's footsteps. I could close the game at the end of a buzzer. Beep! I could cross you over and break your ankle as I drove into the hole. My dad was known as the Black Mamba, and I was known as Little Mamba Sita. Who am I? I am Gigi Bryant.
I was born on January 31st, 1990 in Carrier, Georgia. I was the first African American baseball player of my time. It all started back April 15th, 1945. I broke Major League Baseball's infamous color barrier. Who am I? Jackie Robinson.
I am an African American attorney and politician. I served as the 44th President of the United States. I was the first black man to serve as president. If you're walking on the right path and you're willing to keep walking, eventually you will make progress. Your future rewards those who press on. I don't have time to feel sorry for myself. I don't have time to complain. I'm going to press on. Keep exploring, keep dreaming, keep asking why. Don't settle for what you already know. Never stop believing in the power of your ideas, your imagination, your hard work that can change the world. Who am I? I am Barack Obama.
We are Black history! We are Black history!
Who am I? I'm Charlize Mayfield, and I can learn from Rosa Parks.
Who am I? I'm Ryan Black, and I can learn from Muhammad Ali.
Who am I? I'm Deanna Oliver, and I can learn from Venus Williams. Who am I? I'm Amira Hazard, and I can learn from Serena Williams.
Who am I? I'm KJ Oliver. And I can truly learn from Kobe Bryant.
Who am I? I am Brian Paul, and I can learn from Gigi Bryant.
Who am I? I am David Hammond, and I can learn from Jackie Robinson.
Who am I? I am Elias Bowman, and I can learn from Barack Obama. We are Black history and
Let's give him a hand again. Now we're going to have a black man's poem. A black man's poem. I guess we'll take it.
A black man.
Do not look into my face
And see the color of my skin.
and not see the content of my character
Do not look into my history
and see the darkness of my past.
and not see the brightness of my future.
Do not look at the losses of my mistakes.
And not see the profits of my achievements.
Do not look at the distance I have yet to travel.
And not see the origins to which I have come from.
Do not look at the poverty of my family.
And not see and not see the riches of its love.
Do not look at the child I once was.
And not see the black man I have become.
Some may ask, why a black man?
I probably answer, why not a black man?
And now we'll have the Hero of Freedom by Harriet Tubman, Miss Tiaja.
Blacks were born slaves. My actual date of birth is unknown. However, I do know it was born around 1820. During my life, I led many slaves, over 700 in the underground world. My people call me Moses, but you know me as Harry Southern. I was a hard worker who prayed and longed for freedom. I set my mind skating and landed in the government, and my dream became reality. In 1850, I sent my first slave to the north using an underground road. My favorite song was Swing Low, Swing Chair. Because it was a sign to the enslaved that they soon would be free using the underground road. Swing low, sweet chair, coming, forth, to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chair, coming, forth, to carry me home. As I look up the tourists and what did I see coming home to carry me home? A band of angels coming after me, coming, forth, to carry me home. As I leave you, you know that me, Harry Simon, I didn't take no stuff, but to get another deal, and I didn't come to the world to be no slave, and I didn't
Let us give our young people another round of applause. Amen, 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 amen.
Were we?
We are Black History.
Amen. We thank our young people for their presentation on the night. And now, finally, we have our Hilltop first presentation by Brother Gary Smith, Dr. Smith. Yes, he's here.
African American history dates back to the colonial period, when Africans were brought to the colonies as slaves. Yet Black history was largely ignored by historians and the general public until the 20th century. At the forefront of the push to bring Black history into public consciousness was a scholar and son of former slaves, Dr. Carter G. Woodson. Born in Virginia in 1875, Carter Woodson escaped poverty through education, ultimately receiving a doctorate from Harvard University in 1912. Throughout his studies, Woodson had noticed that the role of African Americans in American history was either misrepresented or missing altogether from the history books. Determined to encourage Black studies and tell the stories of his people, he founded the Association for the Study of Negro Life in 1915. A year later, he began publishing the Journal of Negro History, now known as the Journal of African American History. Page by page, African Americans wrote themselves back into the history books. Encouraged by a swell of support, Woodson organized the first annual Negro History Week in 1926 for the second week of February, to coincide with the birthdays of both Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. The civil rights movement of the 1960s reflected the growing pride and cultural identity among the Black community. Freedom, freedom. By the nation's bicentennial in 1976, African Americans were embracing their heritage and reminding America that Black was beautiful. 26 years after Carter Woodson's death, Negro History Week became Black History Month as part of the bicentennial celebration. Dr. Carter Woodson left an indelible mark. His work ensured the long and rich histories of African Americans would never be forgotten. Black History Month continues his legacy. We honor the people and their achievements in celebration of the African American experience.
All right. We want to thank our youth again for doing such a wonderful job on this evening. And I would be very remiss if I didn't acknowledge someone at this point of really why we're able to have this program tonight. This is really our third annual Black History program. And so the person I want to recognize, of course, is Sister Pounds. She actually asked us 3 years ago to have a program such as this. And so she's really the one that brought this to us. And it's been a wonderful idea. And they've been doing great for the last 3 years. And she was not able to kind of be in it on this one because she was tied up with some other things. But I know she's going to be back in next year. But please give Sister Pound a round of applause. Okay, I'm waiting for them to bring up the slideshow. What we want to do on tonight, as soon as they bring it up, I might have to go back there to the sound room and make sure they bring it up. What we want to do is we've recognized a lot of people in our history, and one of the things that we want to do, this is called Hilltops First, as we recognize African American first. And we've heard on tonight a lot of people that we commonly hear, and they need me. So just a second, I want to make sure they get the right PowerPoint up. Get down. No.
It's not coming up. That's the right one, right?
Under presentation, let me shut down for a second.
Let's do it.
Let's give us a verse or two while they get that together. As I journey through the Red Sea, as I go, parching souls to Calvary to crimson flow, many arrows pierce my soul from without within, but my Lord leads me on through them I must win. We're singing, oh, I want to see him look upon his face, oh, to see forever his saving grace on the streets of glory. Lift up my voice, got to go home and rest it, but to rejoice, and we're singing, oh, I want to see him look upon his face, and I'll be there to see of his saving grace, his saving grace on the streets. Let me lift up my voice, got to go on and listen to rejoice when it's service for my Lord. Dark may be the night, but I'll cling more close to him. He will give me life. Righteousness may vex my turn my thoughts aside, but my Lord goes ahead, leads whatever betide, and we're singing, oh, I won't sing his praise, and I'll be there to sing away. His saving, with saving grace on the streets of glory. Let me lift my voice. Kiss on, gotta go home and rest. And we're singing, no, I want to see him, love upon his face, and I'll be there. Saving grace on the streets of glory. Let me lift up my voice. Got to go home and rest, but to rejoice.
All right, apologize for the technical difficulties. So what we want to look at tonight, again, is looking at Black history from America, African American first, and why that's important. From the clip, what you understood that a lot of our history almost didn't get written, right? Until it took another African American to actually come and make sure that our history wasn't forgotten. And so the young people did a great job of introducing many of the African Americans that we commonly, have known throughout history. There are a lot of them in our history books. But we want to also first recognize some people that maybe we don't always hear about, first of all, before we get to our Hilltop First. So this is a tribute to African American first. So meet the first ever African American head coach in NFL history, Frederick Douglass Pollard. Wesley Brown earned distinction in 1994 as the first African American graduate from the United States Naval Academy. The first African American graduate of the United States Military Academy at West Point in 1877, Henry Flipper. The first African American male and female to win an Oscar for Best Actor and Actress, Sidney Poitier, Halle Berry. In 1956, he became the first African American Secret Service agent, Charles Giddens. 1866, first black female to enlist in the Army, Kathy Williams. Much of the technology behind how we communicate today was made easier by advancements by Dr. Shirley Jackson helped create. She became the first African American woman to receive a PhD in physics and the first to earn her doctorate in any subject from MIT. And a local person you may not know, some of you may, made history as the first African American to be sworn in as chief of police in Polk County. That's Joe Halman. And a lot of you probably know this person. Okay? So those are just some of the people that may not necessarily you read about every day, but have contributed to the black history that we know today. So we have our Hilltops First. Believe it or not, we have some people in here that, sure, they may not be in the history books, but they're African American first, surprisingly, right? So we want to be able to recognize and show our appreciation for even our Hilltop members here, Hilltop that have been African American first, right? So we're going to start off with our first African American Hilltop First.
While attending the Polk State Chain of Lakes Collegiate High School, this student was elected president of the Florida African American Student Association. This is the first time a Polk State student was elected as the Florida African American president in its 39-year history. And who is she?
So we're going to ask Kayla's mom to come up, and she's going to represent Kayla tonight. And we're going to have them sit on the front pew, all our African American folks.
Next, she is the first African American female to be selected as director of the respiratory therapy program at 2 different colleges. First, at Concord College in Tampa, and now at Polk State College. And who you may ask is? This family was the first African Americans to own property in their hometown in the state of Alabama in the year of 1917. Because of this could not be wrote, they had to sign their name with the letter X. And who might this be? Sister He was the first African American accounting manager in Owens, Illinois, a Fortune 500 company and the largest manufacturer of glass containers in North America. He was also the first African American real estate broker in Winter Haven. He showed and sold houses to other African Americans at a time was not popular. Who is he? They were the first African Americans to integrate a major housing subdivision in Cypress Gardens, Florida. And who are they? He was among the first group of African Americans to graduate from Polk Community College in 1972. Who is he? Ooh. Please give it up for none other than Brother Ollie Burton. She was the first African American female to be selected as a direct manager for the Social Security Administration of Sebring, Florida. And who is this? He was the first African American to be selected as the state of Florida's job service manager in an integrated office, the city of Winter Haven personnel administrator, and State Farm Fire Personal Lines Manager in the Florida region. And who is he? She was the first African American homecoming queen at Kathleen Senior High School in Lakeland, Florida, in 1973 through 1974, and at a predominantly white school, just a few years after segregation. Even after the school officials tried to change the rules to exclude her, she still went on to be selected. He is a registered agent and was named as the first African American lawn and maintenance landscaper in the Poinciana area, and was awarded and certified as a minority business enterprise in April 2010. Who is he? She was the first African American to be selected as assistant principal for the Polk State Collegiate High School.
My history teacher.
She was the first African American clinical nurse leader awarded the Dottie Rigger Nurse Management of the Year. Also, she was the first African American advanced practice registered nurse at Gelser Clinic.
Yes.
Geyser, that's the same thing. And who is she? If you will all please come to the front and stand for me.
And we certainly want to thank our group up here. I know we have more out here in the audience that are African American first. We want to, if you are, we want to definitely recognize and thank you for leading the way, being trailblazers. And we definitely thank these trailblazers up here to show that, and we wanted to show Kayla's first because we wanted to make sure that young people understood that even at a young age, you can be the first. You can achieve great success even at a young age. And so we want to thank her mom for being here on her behalf. And so what we want to do right now, we just want to show out a little bit, at least a token of our appreciation for these trailblazers here. And so we got a couple of things that we want to give them as a token of our appreciation. First of all, we have this journal here, and it says Black History, Honoring the Past, Inspiring the Future. And we want to definitely thank you for the things they have done in the past, and that they will continue to write history, right? And we know they're now recognized here at Hilltop History, but we want them to continue to be part of our history. Okay. Also, what we have here, we have some pins that we want to give them also. Their names. So the pins are, and they're identified by their name too, but one says that We're Out. That's by Harriet Tubman. We're Out. Another one says, Dreaming by Martin Luther King Jr. Another one says Try Me by Malcolm X. Another one says Nah by Rosa Parks, like nah, I ain't getting up. And so this is just a token of appreciation, and each one of them has been given one that kind of coincides with their particular achievement. And again, let's give them a round of applause.
Let's get another round of applause by they take this. We want to thank our young people again for their performance on tonight, as well as Sister Audrey. We're definitely going to give Sister Audrey. Now, as we come close to the end of this service, we want to ask the leadership now if they have any words of comfort. Brother Pounds, brother.
I go first. I know Brother Pounds, he got a lot to say. Who am I? I'm Charles McMillan. I can learn a lot from our Hilltops youth. Wonderful. What an outstanding presentation. I was inspired. Always encouraged by our Hilltop youth. They do a wonderful job. Every year, they do a wonderful job. We thank them. We thank those who are working with them. This is a great program. I want to thank Sister Pounds for starting it off 3 years ago. And one of the things that I picked up from this program, as we look at all the individuals that they highlighted in their program, their presentation, Black history is really important. We have to know our past, and we should be encouraged to inspire to learn more about our past and not be intimidated by anyone who tries to disregard our past, because it is important. I like the fact that when we talk about Black history, we're uplifting not just Black, but all of God's creation. Thank you, Brother Tarver, for your comments this morning, this evening, rather. And one thing I want to just talk about just for a moment. We talked about all these different people, but we have a rich history in the Church of Christ. And I like the fact, I was thinking about some of the trailblazers in the church history, men like G.P. Bowser. Paul talked about, he told Timothy, he said, teach faithful men that they can teach others also. And I look at the continuity of the faithful men that started back with men like G.P. Bowser. Of course, you had men like J.S. Winston, Arian Hogan. And then, of course, you had some of our living legends like Dr. Washington and others. And I look at even Minister Pounds as continuing that legacy. And so that's a wonderful thing that we have such a man as him here with us. So we can gain a lot by looking at our history and moving forward. I like the slogan at the end of our program. It says, from whence we come to where we are to where we are going. And this lets us know that we have a rich past, we have a rich present, and we have a rich future as well. Just look at all these young people here. And so thank you for the wonderful program. It was inspiring to me. I appreciate it. And we want to thank all those who had a part to play in this program.
I would just like to say I agree with those words of Brother Pound and to our young people that just did, Brother McMillan. Our young people did a wonderful job, and we hope this is an encouragement to them that there's no limit in what they can do and to do all that they can to be successful in this life. Thank you.